Guys, we need to talk about this Priscilla story because something is not right. Was she murdered or did she die in an accident? So, on Sunday, the 22nd of September 2024, a 28-year-old woman by the name of Priscilla Ocheme went to visit an old male friend by the name of Richard, a 30-year-old man in Lugbe, Abuja, and this was the last time anyone saw her alive. The thing now is, what was the relationship between Priscilla and Richard? According to the story, and according to Priscilla's older sister, Grace Ocheme, Priscilla and Richard used to date. Back in the day when they both went to Madonna University, it was said that was where they met and that was where they started a relationship. But not much is known about Richard because Priscilla did not share enough details with her sister or the family. However, it was said she was closer to her younger brother, whom she told more about her relationship with Richard. So according to Grace, she remembered as far back as when Priscilla was in 200 level in Madonna, when all of a sudden she came home from school in the middle of a session and said that she was not going back, that she even threatened her family that if she goes back, she would die, that if they really want her to die, they should force her to go back to Madonna University. And that was how she dropped out of Madonna and she had to be enrolled in another private school, where she eventually finished from. Nobody knew the reason why she did not want to go back to Madonna all of a sudden. But when they asked the younger brother of Priscilla, he mentioned that it was because of Richard, her boyfriend then. Now, Richard is not exactly strange to the family. Around this time when she was in Madonna University at the time, when she was probably 17 years old, this was way back. It was said that Richard had even visited her family, and Richard's mother had even tried calling Priscilla's mother, talking about marriage between her son, Richard, and their daughter, Priscilla. But Priscilla's mother was like, nah, we can't be talking about marriage now. This girl is just 17 years old. Let's not do that. So I don't know if that was the conversation that created a strain between their relationship in Madonna. Because after that passed, she left Madonna and said she was never going back. And that was where it was most likely believed that she had broken up with Richard. And because of that, she refused to go back to the school. So from that moment on, it is assumed that she and Richard stopped communicating, they stopped dating, she moved to another school and maybe had another life. However, though, the sister recollected that there was one time while she was in a new school, Richard called and Priscilla was like, why is Richard calling me? And the sister, Grace, felt that this Richard had a bad spirit. She felt that her sister clearly feels a type of way about this guy and encouraged her sister that she doesn't have to continue with this guy. You're in a new school, you have a new life, meet other people. And so that was how life went on for Priscilla. She most likely moved on with her life, most likely tried dating other guys. Eventually, she finished in her new school, graduated, and life went on. But a few years back, before this tragic incident in 2024, she and Richard reconnected. It was said that they reconnected and they began a friendship of some sort. It wasn't clear if they were dating. However, it seemed like their relationship started, moving in a friendlier direction of some kind. It was even believed that she had gone to visit him multiple times in Lugbe, but she usually went with her younger brother. So whenever she wanted to see Richard, she would go with her brother. And I guess that was, in my mind, when a girl is going to visit a guy and she goes with her younger brother, it's either one or two things. She's preventing an opportunity for anything to move further. She's preventing a chance for her to be sexual with the man. So I'm assuming she coming to visit Richard often with her brother was some sort of cock block in a way, let me just go with my brother so that this guy would not think that anything would happen between us. And this can be easily interpreted as her wanting to just be friends with him. Now, another thing that it could mean is in the broader sense of things, which I think would come in handy in why the family think she was murdered by Richard. Her coming with her brother might mean her having a sense of protection. It's unclear how Richard is. We don't know how her relationship with Richard was, that she had to leave an entire school after breaking up with this guy. I'm trying to imagine what was she so afraid of? Because even after she left the school back then, it was a younger brother that eventually told the family that, the reason why she left was because of Richard. Back then, they did not really know why. She only threatened that if they sent her back, she would kill herself or something of that nature. So the younger brother was like, yeah, she left because of Richard. But there was no extra details. We don't know if Richard was abusive or threatening her. We don't know why she had to leave. I mean, people date in school and break up in school and finish their school. Why did this girl have to leave the entire school for this boy? And then you reconnect with him years later, but you're always going to his house with your younger brother. We've talked about the first interpretation of what that might mean. I'm going with my younger brother because I don't want to have sex with this man. I just want to be friends. Could it mean that she was going with her younger brother to be protected in case this man tries to do something? In case this guy goes crazy? Because that is another reason why girls would want their brother to follow them to meet another man. But we don't know the situation. The younger brother or the brother per se has not said anything. This is the sister speaking, and Grace is only speaking from what she knows. Priscilla was closer to the brother, and we've not heard the brother's side. I feel like the brother will know so much more, because Grace is only limited to what she knows. Priscilla don't tell her much about this Richard guy. So after reconnecting with Richard, Priscilla continues to visit Richard with her brother. However, on the said day that this tragic incident happened, it was said that Priscilla went to visit Richard alone. The one time she goes to visit this man alone, that is the one time she ends up dead in a very horrible manner. Now, Grace recalls that before she found out that Priscilla was in Richard's house, she was acting strange. That she had been acting funny, acting like something was going on with her. On that said day, the 22nd of September, Grace said she spoke with her sister Priscilla. They talked 3 times that day, that even towards the evening, Priscilla asked her to send her 10,000 naira, which Grace sent. But, you know, the money did not go. Priscilla had to call to ask for confirmation, and Grace sent a screenshot of the transfer debit alert. So that evening, Grace did not think much of it. She slept. When she woke up the next morning, she saw that she had a reversal for the money she sent to her sister. But when she checked her phone calls, she did not see missed calls. She knew her sister very well. She knew that if Priscilla did not see the money, Priscilla would not stop calling. But she was surprised not to see a missed call, and was surprised to learn that the money never really got to Priscilla. Grace tried calling Priscilla, but she wasn't taking the call. And so when she went home, because all this while Grace thought Priscilla was in the house, in the family house, but when she went home, she realized that the family, their mom, their dad, had not seen her for a while. And they're like, where the hell is Priscilla? And that's when they reached out to the brother, who said Priscilla had gone to visit Richard. So upon finding out that Priscilla was at Richard's place, they called Richard. How far? Where is Priscilla? And Richard said that Priscilla did come to visit him, but Priscilla left around 9 in the middle of the night. And they were like, why did she leave? Richard claimed that somewhere around 8 p.m., she and Priscilla ordered food. So he left the house to go and pick the food with his vehicle, leaving Priscilla alone in the house. However, when he was returning back home, he saw a young girl on a motorcycle moving the other direction, and he thought this girl looks like Priscilla. He was like, wait, is that Priscilla? And that was when he was like, where is this girl going to? So he calls her on phone and asks if she was the one he had just seen on the motorcycle. And according to him, Richard said Priscilla confirmed that she was the one he had just seen. Now, it's not clear if Richard asked where she was going or why she was going. So that conversation did not come out of nowhere. But it was said that Richard did send a screenshot of a conversation of him and Priscilla talking about her on the bike leaving. You know, that conversation, like, oh, where are you going? I think there's a screenshot of their conversation. But the thing is, Priscilla on that motorcycle was the last time she may have been seen alive. And this is when things start to get really weird. Because as at the time of this conversation between Richard and Priscilla's family, they still don't know where Priscilla was. Richard himself does not know where Priscilla was. He was claiming he's trying to reach out to her too, but she's not responding. He was also claiming he did not know why she left. It is also possible, you know, I wouldn't want to take Richard's side, but I can understand why he wouldn't have probably chased her or followed her. Because if it was me, I would have taken that car back to go and see where you're going to and why you decide to enter a bike. Like, why did you come to visit me and we order food all of a sudden in the middle of the night? You're jumping bike without telling. What is wrong? But Richard probably played it cool. Maybe she was that kind of a person that had mood swings. So he probably did not understand, according to him. Or maybe he knew more than what he was telling the sister. So while they were wondering where Priscilla was, because now Richard has said Priscilla had left his house, but she never got home. So where is Priscilla? Her phone is unreachable. Nobody is ringing at some point, but nobody's taking the call. She's not responding. The brother does not know where else she would have gone to. Eventually, the auntie of Priscilla calls the family and tells them that a stranger used Priscilla's phone number to call her to inform her that the owner of the phone was in an accident. So they confirmed the phone call that the auntie received. They checked the number and realized that the phone number used to call her was actually Priscilla's number. And that was when they knew that something bad may have happened to Priscilla. Immediately, Grace calls Richard and tells Richard, see, we've just got a phone call that Priscilla may have been involved in an accident. Go to the police station near you and find out if they knew anything. And Richard got up on his feet and went to the police station to do his inquiry as he has been instructed and told that the girl who had come to visit him may have been involved in an accident. While Richard was going to the police station nearest to him, Priscilla's brother and uncle also went to the police station to make inquiries. They visited about 2 police stations. People at the police station told them that they did not hear about any accident. Then eventually went to the 3rd one. That was when they were informed that 2 motorcycles collided the night before and a young lady died. The uncle of Priscilla requested more information, asking for the time, and the police told them that the information of the accident got to them around 9 to 10 p.m. the day before, the 22nd of September 2024. So when the uncle inquired more, he asked the police, okay, who brought the girl? Who came to tell you people that an accident had happened? You know, what were the names of the people and their phone numbers? Because by right, if somebody is coming to report an accident or if somebody is bringing a victim from an accident scene, you take down information. But the police said that they did not get any information, that they don't know the names of the people, nor do they know their phone number. And the uncle thought this was strange. Everybody thought this was strange, that the police knew about the accident, knew a young lady died, saw that the people, 2 good Samaritans, brought the bodies and the victims and, came to report the incident, but did not take the information down. So this was when they started suspecting that something was off. Eventually, they went to see the DPO. Now, it turns out that this police station that has the record of the accident and the information that the young lady involved died was very close to Richard's house. Like, the police station was a lot closer to Richard. Grace went on to say that when they were talking to the DPO suggested that the family buries the girl immediately because the injuries she sustained was very serious. This is red flag number 1. Why is the DPO suggesting immediate burial of a girl he doesn't know? The next thing Grace realizes that while they were talking to the DPO regarding the incident, Richard was also there. Just after the DPO suggests to the family to quickly, rushfully bury her, apparently or allegedly, they saw Richard stand up, walk towards the DPO's chair, picked up a bottle of water and just drank. Like, it was so random. You're all sitting down in a table, the DPO is addressing you, and you just stand up, walk to where the DPO is sitting like he's your uncle, to pick up a bottle of water that belonged to the DPO to drink. Grace thought this move from Richard was suggesting that he is familiar with the DPO. He knows the DPO. For him to be so confident to the point he can just go casually walk without taking permission, without asking, without saying, excuse me, can I have a bottle of water? Without even fear at all, just waka waka, say, now your papa has, go carry water drink. Grace thought that that was very suspicious. It made her believe that he knew the DPO and the DPO knows him. When they eventually saw Priscilla's body, they noticed another round of strange disconnect. She had a visible impact on her face, almost as though something had struck her head and it's almost like it cracked open. However, they realized that she did not have bruises anywhere else in her body. Her clothes was not roughed or rumpled or torn. It just looked like whatever the incident or accident may have been just struck one part of her body and she laid peacefully on the ground. And this is why, or this is where they felt like, wait, it doesn't make sense that this was an accident. Because at least a little bruises. If she was involved in a motorcycle accident that collides, there got to be injuries in other parts of the body. Scratches, cuts, It seemed like her entire body was intact, but the only place that was injured was her face. And it wasn't injured in a way where it was messy. It just looked specific. Almost like somebody hit her with something. And this is where the family started suspecting that their daughter, Priscilla Ocheme, was not involved in an accident. They started believing that maybe Richard killed her and staged her body to look like an accident. Then went on to probably work with the police to try to cover it up. This is most likely what is being suggested by the family, giving their doubts. Because right now, as at the time of talking about the story, the police are saying it was an accident. Richard is saying it was an accident. But the family of Priscilla don't believe so. And they've given the reasons, they've given their suspicion. Given this suspicion, the family requested that this case be moved to the State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department. And the SAIID requested that the police provide the two men who had brought Priscilla's body, who had brought the report of the accident to them. And somehow, some way, 2 days later, the police were able to find the two men. These two men that they did not have their names when the uncle asked. These two men that they did not know their whereabouts when the uncle asked. Suddenly, the police eventually provided two industry block workers. And when they asked these industry block workers, to give the details of the accident, they said that the accident happened around 8:30 and 9 p.m. in the night. That was when these industry workers who picked Priscilla's body to the police station said that this is when this accident happened. However, this timing provided by the industry workers contradicts the time that Richard said he saw her on the bike leaving his house. Remember, Richard said they ordered food around 8, then he left the house and came back around 9:14 when he saw her on a bike leaving his house, 9:14 p.m. But now the people who picked up her body said they picked up her body around 8:30 to 9. So there's a disparities in this timing, yeah. But is it possible? Because, a lot can happen in 14 minutes. I'm not saying that there is no chance. 14 minutes is a long time because they said 8:30 to 9. It could have been 9. And it also could have been 9:14. Once there is a gap between 8:30 and 9, it probably could have been more. If they were specific on the time, then it would have been easy to hold Richard by the wrong timing. Because if Richard said it's 9:14, that means she was alive around then, because they also had a conversation on the chat. Was it the same bike that she entered that had the accident? We don't know. We can't tell. This is the job of the police to investigate. However, this time disparities between the industry workers and what Richard said is what is giving the family of Priscilla a little more doubt. But the story of what may have happened to Priscilla was also given by these industry workers. They said that they were walking when they heard collision of the two motorcycles. When they came to the accident scene, they saw Priscilla in her pool of blood. They stopped another bike and rushed her to a hospital. And when they went to the hospital refused to attend to her, requesting a police report. And I think we need to stop these. There's an emergency. Treat her. I don't know why this has to happen. So the industry workers said since the hospital did not attend to her because they needed a police report, they took her to the police station, the one at Lugbe there, closer to Richard's home. It was when they now said they left her with the police and went their way. Police were the ones who then eventually carried her to Federal Medical Center at Jabi. But when they got there, she was confirmed dead and deposited into a mortuary. So apparently it was the police that were the last people to see her alive. So upon getting this closure that this accident may have actually happened, and with all these details given by these two industry workers, it's hard not to believe that there is a possibility that this girl may have actually been involved in an accident. The sister, maybe in a bid to reconcile the new reality, confronts Richard and asks why didn't Richard drop her with his vehicle instead of allowing her go on a bike, which is what I actually felt at the beginning. I'm like, if you saw her on a bike and you spoke to her, I don't know, gone back. But I can understand a motorcycle would have been probably faster, or maybe begged her to. I don't really know what the situation could have been. But according to Grace, when she confronted Richard, Richard said that the reason why he did not drop her with his vehicle was because their road was bad. But when Grace went to check the road, she realized that the road wasn't that bad, that the road was drivable. It's not clear what he had used to go and pick the food If he had used his car to go and pick the so-called food that they ordered, then the road was drivable, in my opinion. Richard was then invited to the SCIID for questioning, and according to the authorities there, they pointed out that Richard was a little bit defensive and had less remorse or feeling like he was more about getting his name out of the situation. He was more about, oh, please, I'm not involved. It didn't show that he was, if this was your girlfriend that died, they said he lacked a little bit of emotion for what it's worth. I don't know if that means anything. Some people can interpret it as something, but it could also mean that since this incident has happened, they are going to pin it on him. He was the last person she saw, so he has a battle to deal with. He has his name to clear. So I can see him holding on to his emotions first to try to clear his name first, if he indeed doesn't have anything to do with this. It was also said that Richard went back and forth to the police, and he was eventually arrested, pending an autopsy for the girl. On October 18th, he was released, but the police promised that they would only release him if the autopsy said otherwise. If the injuries that this girl got from the accident was maybe from another object that would not have been in a scene of an accident, then he would be charged. But if the autopsy reveals it may have been from an accident, then he would be set free. However, before the autopsy result came out, they let him go. And I think this is where the family came out to the internet to speak, because this guy might be at flight risk. If he indeed set this whole thing up and paid his way to have everything covered up and create this story just to cover up this girl's death, and they are releasing him before the autopsy as they promised, there's a chance that more things could be done. And the family were not satisfied that he was released. Another thing that was said is that the girl's phone, the iPhone, was missing. However, they tried calling the phone and somebody picked and said that he was charging the phone. And the person who picked the call mentioned that he got the phone from a girl who had been involved in an accident. As at the time of making this video, the phone had not been recovered. They tried to track it, but for some reason, they've not been successful in recovering the phone from the person who had picked it. Maybe that person would have more information if indeed he got it from an accident scene. But the problem here is, the phone had a password. This is an iPhone. So how did somebody pick up the phone and was able to access her phone? Well, most times, the person also claimed that he was charging it to use it. So most times, even if the phone is locked, somebody can also take calls and answer calls. They may not have access to the phone, but they could actually have access to taking calls and answering the calls. Not making calls maybe, but receiving calls per se. So this is where this case really is now. An autopsy has not been said to have been done. The family are still requesting that Richard is monitored. Richard's name has also been revealed to be Ekosui Ishe Elvis. So all three of his names did not have Richard in it. So I'm surprised that his government's name has no Richard. It's Ekosui Ishe Elvis, which is odd to me. I'm telling you, this to me might just be the biggest suspicion of all things. If people know you as Richard, and then they check your government name and you have three names, your ID card has three names and none of them has Richard, then who is really Richard? Who is Richard? Really, who is this guy? I personally have a lot of feelings about this story. I really want to follow it up, and we are going to follow this story up. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you stay following, because I understand where the family of this girl are coming from. I understand what they mean. Every single details that Grace has given is suspicious. Everything she said that is suspicious to her is suspicious to me. Maybe apart from the bad road. That one I can give it a pass. What is bad road to you may not be bad road to someone else. But at least the others are suspicious. Him getting up to go and drink water in the DPO's office, it's giving friendly. Especially if the DPO did not react. Especially if the DPO was cool with it. That might just be a moment of him exposing himself. And the fact that they did not get the call directly. If this girl, I feel like if anybody should have been called first, it should have been Richard or the sister. Why are they calling the auntie? Why are they calling there was even a time when they reached out to the network company. They said a tailor who was a contact on Priscilla's mobile phone was also contacted, that the owner of this phone had had an accident. So it's weird that these people that were getting calls, aunties and tailors, when probably not on the top list of people. Because even the auntie herself did not know it was Priscilla's number. The auntie said when she got the call, she thought it was a scam. that she did not even recognize the phone number that called her. It was when they used Truecaller that they found out it was Priscilla's number. So how did they know to call her? Why didn't they call mommy or daddy or the recent people that she had spoken to, which is maybe the sister or maybe the boyfriend, Richard? Something is suspicious and something is off. I believe there is something that we don't know. The fact that the one time that this girl goes to visit this man without her brother is the one time she dies says a lot. And let's not see, I don't know, where is the brother? The brother needs to speak up more. I don't know why they've not talked to the brother. I feel like the brother would know more things. We need to know if this Richard guy is erratic. We need to know if he takes drugs. They need to search his house. We need to know why she had to leave Madonna completely in her 200 level after breaking up with him. We need to know why she keeps going to his house with her brother. I have a feeling she maybe loved this guy, but this guy was maybe toxic. There is so many things that can be answered by learning about who Richard is. And we also need to hear from his exes. He's a 30-year-old man, so he must have dated a few girls. So some of them need to come out and speak. If there is a history of him being violent towards people he dated or towards women, then that can be a lead of something. That could reveal something to us. But his relationship with the DPO is what might be... I would have been scared that we're all sitting down here, all of us who are friends and family of the girl who had just died, and suddenly you stand up, go and pick a bottle of water to drink like that, without no excuse. It's giving you're familiar with him. It's giving he's my uncle. It's giving you've been here before. It's giving you both know each other. And the DPO telling us to go and bury her quickly because of her injuries is giving they're hiding something. It's giving that they're trying to avoid something. I know these things might seem far-fetched, but let me tell you, we've seen big conspiracies. There are people who are capable of plotting. I need people to know this. There are people who are capable of plotting. Chess is not just a game on the board. People can play chess in real life with human beings. And that is something I have learned over time dealing on this channel. Some people can plot. Some people are capable of it. Maybe the police believe it was really an accident. It's possible. I mean, there is that possibility. But I'm having a feeling that this guy may have been aware of the accident. Remember, nobody saw anything. At the same time, too, I also want to know if two motorcycles collide, why was she the only one that died? Where was the motorcyclist? Did the motorcyclist get injured? Why was it the bricklayer? Like, where are the motorcycles that crushed each other? Where is the bike that broke? Like, we need to find those people involved in the accident. She was not the one riding the bike. Where was the bike man carrying her and the bike man whose bike also got collided? Did she fly out of the bike and hit her head? And if so, why was it only her face that got the trauma? Why is her clothes still intact? No bruises anywhere else but her face. I feel like this case will reveal a lot of things. I hope it's not something that is covered up immediately. I hope it's not something that they will have to pay the family, because now I'm hearing that the family needs 1 million naira for autopsy. So I'm guessing the family is not financially buoyant. So I hope it's not one of those things that they will settle and get paid, and this we will never hear from again. Because this is the kind of things that we get to see when it comes to certain crime stories in Nigeria. You don't hear from these people again because something has been paid, or they just leave it for God. This is going to be a very, very interesting case. And it's a very unfortunate, sad one too. So we just have to wait. I just hope the brother speaks out sooner. The brother who knows about this Richard guy, I hope he speaks out sooner. I understand Grace has done all her part and she has said everything she knows, but we need the brother whose name we don't know to come and tell us more about the relationship and how it was for Priscilla and Richard. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notification button so whenever there's a new video, you guys will be the first to get notified.